Hi, Mathabo.
Hi, Anthony.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great. Can you tell us about yourself a little bit, your background, where you grew up, where you're from?
So first of all, my name is Mathabo Nkoane. I am from a village called Pokwane in Sikukune, Limpopo. I am currently an admitted attorney, but I'm not practicing. So I'm a non-practicing admitted attorney, and I work as an analyst.
What does admitted attorney mean in simple terms?
So an admitted attorney is basically somebody who studied LLB, and thereafter they served their articles. Serving articles sort of like an internship, for lack of a better description. Thereafter wrote their board exam, and thereafter got admitted as an attorney.
Beautiful. What do you love about what you do?
So as I said, I am currently an analyst. It's different from what I'm used to. So in the sense that I practiced a little bit. So I was exposed to things like litigation, going to court and all of that. That was great. That was exciting. But right now I'm working for a regulator as an analyst. So that for me is exciting because I am learning quite a few things. I'm actually learning a lot. It's a new experience altogether for me. So I'm kind of just excited by how challenging, how some of the things are a bit complex for me, but I'm just quite exposed to a lot of things. So yeah, that's quite exciting.
Can you maybe take us through your study life, like from high school, tertiary, and where you are now?
So my high school, I went to a high school called St. Mark's in Limpopo, Jane First in Limpopo. There, I basically, as far as I can remember, in my grade 10, I chose to do physical science, economics, and business studies. I hope I am correct because it was quite a long time ago. Thereafter, I went to the University of the Free State. I did my BCom law there. And thereafter, I went to the University of Pretoria and studied my LLB there.
What made you want to study law?
Wow, that's actually a very good question, because I feel like everyone, how the people answer this question, they all say, I want to fight for justice, I want to I always say that I kind of landed in this career of mine. Honestly, I didn't know from high school and when I studied BCom law that I actually would want to do law and do things like litigation and actually even stand in front of a judge, honestly. So I kind of just landed.
How do you feel about the courtroom?
Honestly, it makes me nervous. My experience in the courtroom, for those who know, it just made me nervous. However, I would always say that for anybody who gets to practice, you need to be in the courtroom, you need to stand in front of a magistrate. It was a bit terrifying for me. For some people, it may be exciting, but you also get to learn a lot, either about yourself or a little bit more about court procedures or the law in general.
Great. So what do you want to do in the next 5 years? Where do you want to see yourself? Do you still want to be practicing law? And if so, where do you see yourself in the law industry?
So I hope now my employer won't be like, oh, so this is what you want to do, then you must leave, or whatever the case may be. But I am somebody who's open to quite a few things. I want to strengthen my educational background. So I want to study my LLM, because I did do my BCom law, I did my LLB, and that's great. But now I wanna specialize a little bit more. So I wanna strengthen my educational background. I wanna do my LLM. But right now I'm quite happy with my employer. Being in that space has exposed me to quite a few things. Like I said, it's quite complex for me. It's a new industry for me. So it's quite exciting. I'm learning a lot. And I think I can grab a little bit more in the next 5 years. And thereafter, I can just fly, literally.
Can you advise a little kid who's inspired by you, wants to become like you, and what would you say to that person?
I feel like, first of all, I didn't take, the conventional route to do your LLB and then after that you practice. I practiced just a little bit, but thereafter I went to work for a regulator. I don't know if maybe there are people who would be like, okay, that's actually where I want to be. I want to work for a regulator. But I can tell you right now, it is an exciting environment. You're exposed to a lot of things. You're exposed to different people with different educational backgrounds. So you get to learn a lot of things in that space. So for someone who would want to be where I am, I would say, go ahead, study your LLB, ensure that you get admitted as an attorney. Make sure you get admitted as an attorney. It is quite rewarding. It's a long journey to walk. It's a very challenging journey to walk through, but you will reap the benefits at some point. So if you want to eventually work for a regulator, or you want to be in any other space except practice, I'd definitely say go through the journey of LLB, get admitted, and thereafter get some practice experience. And thereafter you can just literally go anywhere you want to be.
You mentioned that it is a little bit challenging. What are some of the challenges that you faced in that journey?
I think the first challenge that I faced was that I just was not, educating myself around what it is I was doing. During my LLB, I found out there's something called, an internship or what we call articles. I'm like, okay, what is that and what does it mean? You have to serve your articles for 2 years. I'm like, but no, don't I just get a job after LLB? And then as I'm doing my articles, they're like, no, you have to write your board exams. I'm like, what is that? What exam? Why? And thereafter I realized, okay, I have to write board exams. I sat down and I was like, okay, what is this and all of this? So I kind of educated myself a little bit later than I could have. So the first challenge for me was basically not knowing what is in it for me. I just went with the flow. Any opportunity that came, I was like, oh, okay, so we're doing this. Oh, so we have to do this. So the first thing was that I really didn't educate myself. The other thing was that just studying law itself was a bit of a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. For a long time, I felt like what really was helpful was being able to study BCom law first and then LLB. LLB was a bit more challenging. I was in a new school. I had 2 years to, or at least the general norm is that you'll do your LLB for 2 years if you have a BCom law. So I had 2 years to finish everything. I literally was just going through everything, trying to do everything all at once, and I had a lot of modules that I was studying and all of that. So the lack of preparation, I think for me, was the biggest challenge. So educate yourself around what it is you want to do and then prepare yourself.
What would you say to somebody with an LLB or a BCom law qualification, but they're struggling to find work?
Yes, unfortunately, that's just, what it is in our country right now. Finding a job is, it is very hard. It was hard even for me. But what really helped me personally, first of all, prayer is important for somebody who prays, and, just believing in yourself as well is very important. But what worked for me was when I cleaned up my LinkedIn and my career websites. After cleaning them up, I got a few calls. People would call me and say, I saw this on your LinkedIn. I really would like to have an interview with you, big corporates and all of that. Even though I didn't get interviews, even though I didn't get some jobs, I still appreciated the fact that people could see that who am I, what skills do I have, and all of this. So cleaning up my social media really, really helped. Cleaning up my CV thereafter helped me to send the CV. So research on what it is you want to do, research on the companies, speak to what the companies want, and then sell yourself.
What would you say to a kid who's in grade 9 and has to choose which stream they want to study, like the subjects? Would they choose science or economics or whatnot if they want to they want to become a lawyer?
First of all, for me, I wasn't very intentional about what I chose to do. I just chose what was interesting for me at the time. In my high school, like I said, I did physical science. I chose physical science. I chose business studies and economics. So that was quite interesting for me at the time. So for somebody who wants to study the law, I feel that the most important thing is to gain skills. So through economics, understanding how the economy works and all of that. Something like history, it's a lot of reading. Because in law, I can tell you now, if you're going to study the law, you have to understand. You're going to read, and apply. So the most important thing is to sort of like gain skills through the subjects that you choose to do. Something like maths. I know people will be like, no, lawyers and maths and all of that, but it teaches you how to apply. So maths, I'll recommend that you do your maths. History, I don't know if people still do history in high schools now, but it's a great way to just literally keep studying and all of that. But don't limit yourself. Take any subject that you feel is interesting for you. The most important thing is to gain skills through those subjects.
Okay, I wanted to find out from you what you were doing on a daily basis at your previous work when you were practicing, and what you're doing on a daily basis now as an analyst.
Okay, so you basically want to know the difference. So in practice, there is no daily routine that I had in practice, right? You're exposed to quite a lot of things. The law firm I was working for luckily had good clients, but also good work. So I was able to work on investigations. I was able to do legal opinions. I did a little bit of going to court for, to represent people that were arrested, and then there was divorce, it's litigation and all of that. So there was no particular way of me planning my day to say, this is what I'm gonna do today and that's that. Anything could come across my desk and I'd have to just, jump on it and work. As opposed to right now I work for a regulator as an analyst. I work in a licensing department. So my job basically is to sit down and go through applications and make sure that the people who are applying, or at least applicants, meet the requirements that are required by the regulator. So that's what I do right now. So I don't even get to go to court or represent anybody. So nobody can call me now and say, "Oh, Mathabo, I'm arrested. Can you please come bail me out?" Unfortunately, I will not be able to help you there because I'm not practicing.
Would you say law is a study-intensive course? If somebody right now wants to do law but not sure about studying a lot or afraid to study, what would you say to such a person?
So first of all, I feel like for you to study anything, you must just be prepared to do exactly that, study, cut shortcuts and things like cramming and all of that, and you want to party all through the weekend and study a little bit. It's not going to work. You just need to study whatever it is you're doing. The most important thing is to love what it is you're doing. LLB, studying the law, you don't even stop studying, you don't even stop learning, you don't stop reading. So if you're not a reading person much, I wouldn't even encourage you to do law.
What keeps you developing yourself? Is it the love of learning? Is it curiosity? What is it?
I think mostly, are my goals. What I want to do, what I want to achieve. That's what keeps me developing. But also, what excites me is anything that's complex, right? Like I said, for example, in high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I was just like, okay, I'll just do physical science, I'll just do economics, I'll just do, business and all of that. So I did BCom law and I was exposed to things like marketing, and then I was exposed to commercial law, and I was like, okay, what is this? What is this? So for me, I'm always asking the question, what is this? What can I do better? How can I better my skills? How can I better myself? So that's what keeps me developing.
Do you interact a lot with people in your work, or are you interacting with a computer, or is it a lot of acts and whatnot?
So it's a little bit of everything, actually. It's interesting that you asked that question like that, because I literally have days where I'm sitting, going through the act, trying to interpret it so that I can apply it. And then there are days where I'm just on the computer because I'm either working on a case or whatever the case may be. So I'll be on the computer. And then there are days where we get to sit with clients. Now, the most interesting part, or what makes it more exciting when you meet clients and all of that, it's the opportunity to teach your client something, because we are a regulator. So obviously people come to us and say, how do I do this? How do I do this right? What do I need to do? What am I required to do? So that opportunity to teach people is also exciting.
Beautiful. In closing, a recruiter is watching you right now. Can you sell yourself to the recruiter?
Well, first of all, selling myself just sounds very nerve-wracking. It's almost like, oh, what do I say? But to a recruiter, I would say, you can work with the most intelligent, well-spoken people in the world. That is great, amazing. But working with someone with a great attitude, someone who knows how to work with people, someone who knows how to work in a team, is the best thing you can do for your organization, and that is me.
Thank you so much for your time, Mathabo.
Thank you so much for inviting me.